It's go time. Autobots roll out. Just kidding. Wrong movie. It's this week though. Is it? It's this month. I'm sure it's
I
this
don't
month. Okay,
know.
welcome to DevKami number 218. I'm streaming.
I'm Tristan.
Chilean.
And Chi Leong is downstairs, of course.
That's
Yeah, I
good.
was talking about movies. I was talking about many things. And one of those movies, Transformers, that's coming up this month,
Yeah.
which is a bit
Beast Wars,
boring.
right?
This month, movie, not, huh?
Beast Wars. It's
What?
about Beast Wars, right?
Correct. People exaggerate, but not my thing. What
Yeah,
is
I'm
nice
excited.
is next is
Mm.
Yeah.
next month is Oppenheimer by Christopher Nolan.
Yeah,
And
but
for
there's a
once,
lot of
he
good movies
actually
these
not
days.
for once he's not blowing up a nuclear bomb because it's cheaper, like what he do with the 747 in Tenet. In Tenet, he actually used a
I haven't
747 and not
watched
a
it.
building.
I haven't watched.
So,
I haven't watched
huh?
Tenet. I haven't watched Tenet.
There's a scene that is very famous. So that's being said, uh, today we're going to get Tristan to showcase the projects.
Well, it's
I
not done yet, but I mean, I just
It's a draft.
disassembled it again, so I can just tell you what I
Yeah,
what's planned as usual.
correct. Because I'm out of topic this month, as usual. So let's talk about events. This Saturday we had a workshop, Rust workshop, 10 a.m. Oh my God, it's this weekend.
Where is
Yo,
it gonna happen?
it's at Jalan
A
Technology 5
pitch.
Taman Technology. It's
A pitch.
APU.
APU. It's called APU these
Yep.
days.
So uh, so it's 10 to 5 learn Rust, then 10 to 4 a.m. is head Rust, no price. So yeah, it's interesting. You want to learn Rust, you should go. I You should tell me earlier, then I should actually go as well. If anything, just for Kepochi. Know what I mean?
Hmm.
So, but yeah, this happens this weekend. Then that's about it until next weekend, actually, which we forget to add. I mean, Tech Out has something, but the new one is this one. It's on a Thursday, 7 p.m. Uh, it's not on a weekend. It's on 15 June. By Women Who Code Level Up event called Building Intelligent App with OpenAI. So there's a panel discussion and there's a workshop with uh, dealing Deputy Sisters and OpenAI and stuff. Then there's speakers and all that. So it will be happening in Microsoft Office, which is actually all the way in Kuala Lumpur, KL Central area. It's not at KL Central. Actually, you need to walk quite a bit, but it's not too bad. It's not too bad. Nice office though. Uh, so this actually is happening within the next few days lah. Oh my goodness, it's actually next Thursday. What the hell am I thinking? It's actually next Thursday. Yeah. It's what the hell? Yeah, June. I thought it's June, so it's before this. Okay. That being said, let's roll out with our news because I'm going to talk about this project. I'm going to talk about this book and the other book, which I'm going to talk about later. La 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 la. We can do that is because today is slow news day. So there's literally just four things I can find for some reason. Oh, there's also other thing. Oh my goodness, I forgot. I will put it. Let me quickly open up because I put it in other. I put it in other tab. This one. This one and general have a few things. Oh yeah, one more thing that I'm going to quickly talk about is the Mac Pro.
Mac
There's a
Pro, the cheese grater, or
Okay, there's a WWDC event this week,
yeah.
so that pretty much covers everything. Literally covers everything. Okay, so there's not much of tech news because people only talk about that. So of course the famous thing we talk about is of course VR. Is
Mm.
of course VR. Interesting trend in a way that I didn't watch the video to be honest. I just watched the 4-minute ads. that they put on. Interesting in a way that is the trend that we know. There's desktop AR desktop experience. There is the app and all that. Very indoors use. Very interesting design as well. I don't agree with those, but uh, also pretty expensive, 3,000 US dollar, 3,500 US dollar. But it also packed with very powerful hardware, an M2 and also a thing. They have 3D camera and all the thing.
It's a 4K per eyes.
Yeah, 4K per eyes.
Yeah.
And
So it literally can replace your monitor and
correct.
your productivity suites. It's in a way it's not
So
that expensive in a way.
correct. So and also
And it does eye tracking.
and all that, and eye tracking all that. So yeah, what will happen in the future, I do not know yet.
I'm just excited that I like VR and AR stuff. It's just that
Yeah.
this thing been slow burning and still considered consumer grade for so long. Even right now, when I need to plug in my Oculus, it's still quite a number of work to be done. It's not really easy. It's easy to use yet.
Correct.
And
So with
there's still a
these,
lot of rough edges, lah.
correct.
So
with these
So
people,
it's not that I'm gonna buy it. It's just that I'm happy to see something move on. I mean, something that moves the progress within this field.
correct. So I probably won't buy it, but the rest of the industry will follow soon with whatever they have and improve it and try to compete against it. If not on price, then on feature. And hopefully the old project that was died, like the Microsoft AR project and all that, will revive.
Actually, they didn't die.
Huh?
They didn't die. The mixed reality didn't die. It just got into it just devolved into cheaper VR options.
Yeah, correct. So they revive the whole thing more because a lot of the vision that is shown on the Apple is called the Vision. Is that it's the same thing that they show on the device that I forget the name, right? It's the same thing, and they do a lot more.
I like to see more AR stuff from there as well because remember Google Glass is also in a way intersect with some of the things that Google Glass try to do.
Correct.
Where one of the main selling point is that it doesn't block your field of view, so it's in a way also was what MR Microsoft Mixed Realities try to do as well.
Yeah, correct. So that they have a name for that. I forget the name suddenly. So, but it's also a very different vision. Google Glass is about navigating. It's about navigated object. It's not on the same level of capabilities. The thing is just like an alternative platform with all that. So it got killed not because of technology. It's because of the camera on board that keep recording it. Then people just make a big.
It just got merged into some of the Android functionalities.
Correct. So it's killed not because of technology. It's a perfectly fine technology.
But I want to see that come back again, like the AR stuff too.
Correct. So because I think a lot of it got killed. It's a perfectly good technology that got killed. One of the
hope we get is that one of the hope that some of the enthusiasts hope is that it's called Vision Pro. So hopefully there's a non-pro version, and then hopefully they're gonna be a Google Glass like kind of product, which is more minimal in the future.
I should share the video by the tested. Let me find it. Okay, I find it later. So they actually go to the AR companies show. There's not Apple, and they are going to that direction. It's glasses, not the whole goggle. So the technology is going towards.
It's goggle is hard because it blocks. It's not usable. It doesn't integrate with the real life object.
Correct. So yeah, that happened. Another thing that happened that is also interesting that I'm going to share my screen now is share screen. Why the hell I stopped sharing for the first? I pressed the wrong button. Is Apple hardware on which I close it again. The Apple,
Why are you
Apple.
interested in Apple hardware? You're not
No,
even
it's not
using
this
Apple.
hardware that is interesting. Is this thing 122 gigabyte
Yeah.
with the GPU.
It's
So
35,000 US dollars, right?
It's
correct, but
in a way it's cheaper than Nvidia's graphic card for that equivalent RAM. That if you use it for machine learning for that amount of VRAM, it's cheaper.
correct because Nvidia selling the same consumer grade GPU
Yeah,
with
for
just the
hundreds, 200K USD.
yeah for almost like it's a 100K machine.
Yeah.
So that's Nvidia price, and because at that time there's no other people, so Apple comes up with this. So yes, this is a pro device, but it's a very good price pro device, and more
It's a very
importantly,
for that use
Apple
case in the machine learning field.
correct. And one thing that Apple have been doing for a while is make good integration of machine learning libraries with their hardware. So they really push for it very heavily. So as a result, you can do training on it. Deployment may be a bit iffy, but if you get a model file, then it really doesn't matter. Then you just pass it to the ops guy anyway.
Actually, I'm just recently. Originally, we got a Mac Mini and M1 Mac Mini in the office. Originally, it was underused. It's just for building as a Jenkins worker for building mobile project. So
Correct.
recently, because uh, there's some model that I need to load, and the max we have is 10 gig of VRAM for one of our server. Is that
Yeah.
and I just realized it's just a sudden realization that the Mac Mini's RAM can be used as the VRAM as well. So
Correct.
it just
Correct.
allowed me to load more than 10G of without having to scramble for another more expensive graphic card.
Correct. With the world of LLMs, people are actually going for more VRAM.
Yeah,
And Nvidia did not
24G
follow.
at least for the good ones.
Correct.
Mm.
And Nvidia did not follow through. They have one hardware, and that's the 4090 on the consumer
Yeah.
level. After that is the industrial, is a pro product.
Yeah, which is really hard, not accessible.
Correct at all. So yeah, that's what happened. So hopefully things change. I won't be using Apple soon unless it's really necessary. I can use it. I don't like it. It's
It
more like
opened up an option to use them as a processing server. Is I mean for
correct.
in terms of when we want to delve into machine learning with more RAM. But of course,
Correct.
CUDA is very matured. So there are some models or there are some libraries that are still not really as the support with Apple hardware not as matured as support with CUDA. But all of these alternative are moving on. Even CPU
Correct.
bound are moving on as well.
Correct.
Yeah.
And AMD is okay. So at least at certain level, there is people that already push ROCm to support better models. For example, Stable Diffusion recently have been moving. There is a port, a reasonably okay port for AMD as well. Even though your AMD GPU is like 10 gigabytes on the cheaper side, it's on the very expensive one that you get 16 or 24, but it's getting there. The only thing you need to know is that you are not deploying on this device. You're deploying on the CUDA for machine learning system. I know because I did that actually. So with that said, I'm going to move on. Anything to add about WWDC?
Not really.
Yeah, I'm gonna move on.
No.
Yeah. I'm not going to use it until I need to.
Yeah, I'm just glad it's not really in terms of other usage is that it's not so appealing, but
Yeah.
but if you for us people that it's a barrier of entry for like small players like us to get into some of the ML stuff. So especially after the the review of the pros cards, the more pro cards from Nvidia, which was, I mean, jaw-droppingly expensive. It's one of
Correct.
it's a refreshing to see, even though this is still expensive, but it's way cheaper than that.
Correct.
Is there
And for
ever
any,
going to be a time to that where like maybe 40 to 80 Raspberry Pis can be a replacement for
not anytime
those things?
soon. Not anytime soon. Because okay, yes and no. There is two things that is happening. One, people do stop believing to make bigger and bigger models. So there
Yeah.
is there's a virtual cap, so to say, right? Because even for OpenAI, they are already training quite heavily for on hundreds of GPUs, I believe.
Mm.
Was it?
Mm.
It's a lot of those, and even a bigger model without changing all the hardware or that, you can only do it up to a certain level. So there is at least a cap. So and if Moore's law you can squeeze a few Moore's law, it's possible that it only can squeeze in. But there's a second alternative is that there is demand to run this kind of thing without using the network all the time. So there probably an opportunity to use it. So those are active research that people are actually working on. So
And we can
possibly,
see
so
that even as things as simple as LLM was.
yeah,
But if you have a really big model, then it can be really impressive just by being big.
correct. But it get expensive really fast.
Yeah.
So would Raspberry Pi can do it in the future? Possibly, because models may get smaller and
Raspberry Pi
hardware
also been in the news lately.
Oh yeah, for the supply mostly. In my circle,
Yeah.
it's the supply, mostly for the supply thing.
It's that they
And for
decided to
ramp up, right?
they try to ramp it up because also like they are working with Sony or something like that with these
Correct.
things.
And Sony put their which something I didn't say. Sony, one of the reasons why collaboration with Sony other than manufacturing is Sony will integrate their neural processor on Raspberry Pi. So it's getting there.
It's
right?
good.
Even
I like to see it get more diversified. It's just
correct. The neural engine from Sony is not that impressive because it's very specific. But with demand, possibly they will do more stuff.
Yeah.
So
it's just with accessibility that Raspberry Pi provide.
correct. So last thing is NVIDIA. Okay, but here's a big catch. NVIDIA do not need consumer hardware anymore because their biggest money is in the data center. Their biggest money is on the Azure, the AWS, or whoever that got money to get their dedicated servers and all that. That is their target now.
Yeah.
I'm not consumer anymore. So consumer
the manufacturing also they are making bigger, stronger one, but getting paid more for doing less, I would say like that.
correct.
Mhm.
So that's the thing that go through. So they don't need consumer grade hardware. They probably do it just for sake of making themselves look good, and that's about it. Not I mean. So that's about it. And let's go through the news. So first thing is all the hustle when building product with LLMs. So this one, I like this one because a lot of the demo early on is about you can do this, you can do that, and that's about it. And they use a very controlled query to do control prompt to query for stuff. But this one that actually tells you the caveat and what you need to do and what could go wrong and to do complex certain type of work, the step that you need to do. So it's not this one is more real than just say that you can do everything on a language model. So they tell you that you can do this, but they ground you with the limit. So these are very good article to tell before you do your stuff. So yeah, want to add anything?
No.
No.
We'll move on. Okay. Then this one is also interesting. This is actually from Amazon, but now open source. So this is actually called a scale up policy language. So this is actually a way for they use this in AWS use this internally to implement security policy. If you use IAM, you use JSON, yeah, but this one is an actual language. Then you realize that a lot of the things very similar. So for example, principal action resource is very AWS-like. Then you have you can update. The whole point of this is to set, to able to load file, manipulate security policy and implement it. And that is actually very useful if you implement security policy on AWS law. So these are domain-specific language for cloud service, but I do not know how well this is usable for local and whatnot. Yeah, and this is because AWS entity is so complex law. So if they have a language for that. So you can have a playground.
The SEL the SEL configuration is one of the more complicated ones.
Correct. So you can use, as you can see, you can use it on AWS. I do not know how you can use it somewhere else.
Quite a number of artists are following that as a compat purposes. Like Vimeo follows AWS one as well.
Correct. So I'm going to move on. This one. So this one is essentially using GPT-4 into Minecraft. It's very similar to the experiment that people done. Except this one is in Minecraft. And how this works is the same way you generate text. Those are turned into because they have a large corpus of text. You ask a question, come up with a plan, execute. Then based on the plan, they do it, integrate it with. Then from there, interpret it into Minecraft action and all that. So this is how you build a bot. So very interesting. It's not metrics yet. It's not metrics, but it's metrics-ish.
It's fun.
Yeah. And you're the architect. Well, architect is an AI, but you get the idea.
I think the point of doing fun stuff is important because that's how we learn.
But for this one, it's not because it's fun. It's because game is a constrained environment. Because it's a constrained environment, then it's easier to generate action. So this is the main thing. So here you are. So there's a curriculum. So you teach them to do things, then this goes to tasks. So the prompt links to action and do stuff. So you teach them to do things, so you teach them since you have wouldn't to do so, it will be beneficial to upgrade and all that. So sensing, go in, lead to question, then generate action. Action leads, then the action leads to action in the bot and do stuff. So is this sentient? No.
No.
It just happens that they have a whole corpus of text, and some of
it's
those
not AI.
Yeah, correct. Some of those corpus happens to some of those because of the corpus. You got a question, then based on the corpus, that generate a reasonable answer, and based on the reasonable answer, then they link those to actions. So it's not thinking per se. Because you just it's a Chinese box, so to say, but it's a very interesting way to do intelligent system. So they do not necessarily have logic, by the way, but this is a very cool paper. So I should share the actual link actually. Voyager dot blah 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 Mind Dojo. Okay, so anything to add? If not, I'm gonna move on.
Nope.
Cool. Oh, they also use AutoGPT. Fascinating. Okay, then these are a bit old. It's a bit old as in yesterday old. So this is a faster sorting algorithm discovered using deep reinforcement learning. So they just used to generate newest sorting algorithm. We're not jobless yet, but at this rate, I do not know when. So
You're not going to be jobless because they are not AI.
Yeah. So, and we're done. We don't have much rules. And Let's talk about the first thing. No, there's two things I want to show about actually. First thing,
Also, one thing from WTC is one notable thing is that they have to give them credit for not abusing the AI buzzword,
correct. They do not use
which
the AI buzzword.
which they within the presentation they just use machine learning and like transformer model instead of calling it AI.
Yeah, correct. So yeah,
Yeah,
which is
they are not
okay.
AI
But
yet.
I also think that it's also a lot of marketing because they do not want to go to the same area as their competitor. It's the thing they do.
Yeah,
So,
but yeah, it sometimes in a ways when we get less, it sometimes get surprisingly refreshing to
correct,
not have
correct,
so much buzzwords within a
correct.
Well, because mostly because Apple can't is not considered as the owner of AI. They have a lot of buzzwords already. Like you have
Yeah,
Retina, you have Neural
yeah,
Engine, you have all of these
correct.
buzzwords
yeah.
that is Apple. If they say AI, that's like
It's
promoting
not
some other
theirs.
company. It's not theirs.
Yeah,
That's why they're not using it.
Mm.
They're using the
so which is
general
why
term, which is machine learning.
which is why which is why for things that's similar to what other people have done, but they probably copied, they will not
Yeah,
reference those implementation at all.
yep.
Just them. As a result, people think that it's Apple's creation, which is not necessarily true.
Might be
So
because of that, but the other developer events are, I mean, that is pretty
yeah, they are
refreshing.
Yeah,
hype
yeah.
on because those are a very traditional marketing thing to do,
Compared
right?
to the
They just
other like Google I/O.
yeah.
Yeah.
So they just like throw things in, remind people that they know this. They don't, which actually related to these two books that I finished back to back actually, Idea Factory and Dealers of Lightning. I need to give a book review, but I'm going to talk about it here first. I promised to write a review actually. Both actually had the same ending, so to say, the same type of story, but this one is different. Xerox PARC is a advanced research center by Xerox. So during the time they're active, they are the one that created modern GUI. They created the laser printer. They created Ethernet. Uh, Bob Metcalf got Turing Prize this year as a result of his work in Xerox PARC. The PARC stands for Palo Alto Research Center, right? Palo Alto Research Center. They also where Alan Kay comes up with Smalltalk, where he had a concept of tablets and laptops, etc. But why does people remember Park as a legend, so to say, uh, but not something substantial other than the fact that Steve Jobs goes to their lab and took their stuff. Okay, which is not actually true, so to say. It's not true. It's true, but there is thing lah. So the
Mm.
first thing is that the first story is about heroism, because this you this group of people actually do very interesting work. They build all the cool thing, pioneer in technology, build their own computer and all that. But they build this in the company that do not understand them. Okay, so Xerox at that time is still sells photocopier, and they got and it's during the time they
Hence, when you photocopy, you call it Xerox like Google.
correct. And at that time, they have a lot of competitor from Japan, even from the US and all that. Because they got complacent, people following them, but because they can't keep up on the only business they know, so as a result, they just focus only on the thing they know, photocopier, right? But where because company just don't easily suddenly change the business. You got because the business model for computer during the 70s is very 60s 70s is
There's also
very
this
different.
fear of this called self cannibalization, where
Yes,
when one of the most notable example was Kodak, where they're afraid
correct.
changing into a digital cameras market gonna kill their what do you call it, the firm,
Like
the
cash
firm
cow,
business.
no?
Yeah.
Yes, but in this case, in less toward that, it's really okay, according to the book, it's really that the company do not understand what computer. Okay,
Mm.
yes, they built the laser printer. That's easy to sell because it just print things. Very similar to,
I think
very
that's
similar.
I guess that's the same sentiment with most businesses where they optimize for things they can sell.
Correct. So, for example, the Xerox Original Research Center, they only know how to do technology for photocopiers. So even though there's this research center, I forget the name, that discovered they can use laser to print smaller and more accurate works, they just ignore them until they force his boss to transfer him to Park. That's where he got the budget to build a laser printer, right? So laser
Mm.
copiers. Essentially, it's photocopier, but because of laser, it get very high quality copies. So it's something that Xerox can sell. But toward on then, until the 80s, they still do not have a computer product, right? And also in between, as they uh, when a company in crisis at that time, that they try to fight competitors, suddenly a new business comes in, they fight for survival, and remember that this company are full of photocopy salesmen and all that. You just can't suddenly tell them that I need resource to start a computer business, right? You just can't. That's precisely what happened, right? So as a result, they do not know how to sell computer. They can sell the cool product. They had to cut the lab. Then the lab killed themselves in a way, and all that. It's really, so the moral of this book, in short, is really that yes, you can build all the cool stuff. You have a lot of heroism, but if you can't integrate with the main organization that sponsor you, that's it. You just can't do the work. As a result, Park dies as a result.
It's sort of a required combination of of luck and foresight as well.
Correct, because you have something similar happen. Yeah, something the opposite happening in the next book, the Idea Factory. So in the Idea Factory, everything is aligned. So the goal of the research for Bell Labs is to improve telephone or telephone technology, right?
Mm.
Uh, so what happened then is that every technology, I tell this before, every technology they built, amplifiers, crystal amplifier, vacuum tube. They did not build vacuum tube that improve the manufacturing process, transistor, and all that. Is to improve the ability to make call further and better and more clearer. Which is why they have amplifier, they have error correction code, and all that information theory. All these have the goal of going toward telephone, right? It's very aligned. Uh, the only thing that goes wrong is two things. One is Bell telephone got too big, and they do what they call an asshole move, in a way that they make the pricing a kick off competition. So the U.S. government do not like that. So they had to spare the lab, and that's why it's died. But toward the end, what happened is they get everything correct against it, but uh, one, the US government do not want them to go to a certain business. For example, they cannot go to the computer business, and they cannot go into the satellite business. So Bell Labs are the one that built the first Telstar. That's the first telecommunication satellite. So they build it and launch it, but the US government do not allow them to go into business. That's one. But there's a second part of the story. As an organization with a certain level, they have certain requirement. Certain requirement as in they need certain qualities and all that. So as a result, yes, Bell Labs are the one that built every technology needed to build microchip. They did not build it because they deemed that the technology is not mature enough, the quality is not good enough. But because because of the US government requirement, they license technology to everyone else. Uh, Robert Noyce knows the technology at Texas Instrument, and they built the first microchip because they deemed that okay, we can take the risk, they can absorb the risk. So the second story here is that this is a big company, big organization thinking versus small organization thinking. And also just because a big organization, it doesn't mean that you know your stuff. So in this case, toward the end, they have two products. Uh, there are two other products as well. So for example, they did not come with laser, but they finally know how to use laser for communication. And they work with other companies to create fiber optic, but there's two. Oh yeah, the two product in the end is actually the video phone and cell communication. The marketing people, because of they only know how to do cell telephone and communication, right? They're really pro video phone. So they think that video phone is the future. But at that time, the US government, the FCC actually in the 70s to 80s, they actually released a whole bunch of radio waves, radio frequency to be used. And one of the part of the Bell Labs actually created the modern cell phone cell network, so that you can actually use it for calling, right? One of the As a result, the marketing people do not understand what is a wireless telephone thing, so they do not deem as a priorities. But because they set it up, the base technology, it turns out that uh, video phone died out, cell phone continue on. So in the end of the day, it's a mix of business priorities very different and all that. So this two book is actually a very good book to think about innovation, I should say. The first one is the first book is about alignment. There's a lesson here. You can build the coolest thing, but you need to align. So when you run engineering, you can't just build cool shit. You need to align the cool shit to stuff. The second book is that you can align everything, but sometimes you just need to open. Sometimes it's just nature, because a very good example, recent one, is that Google are the one that built all the foundation AI technology, but their main business is not software. As a result, they just don't focus on it.
And which ChatGPT also shock as in the search business.
Mm.
Yeah.
Correct. So in this case, big company is just different because they have different level of risk and all that. So as a result, they just lose out.
I think there's also a dilemma of having a product that is too big to touch.
Correct. So in this case, you don't see them valid, but you have that for Google, because they only have one product, search, and those are advertising actually. So that's the big issue here. So which is why I say this is a very good book on innovation. I recommend this too, and you should read it back to back. It's very good. One thing this book doesn't cover is Unix, because they focus on hardware. They do not focus. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty good. So that's about the two adventures that I have recently. So let's continue with Tristan.
Yeah.
How the project
what's up?
goes.
It's so the prototype is working. So I think I've showed this to you on when we were backstage. So this is the where I put it. I just removed everything here because I wanted it to redo. So it's all gone now. It's just like wires and batteries and those things. But what the plan was that
Wait,
you'll have a encoder, and then you have like this is your settings, and then you push to do things. Then you have your switch to turn on or off, and you can always just plug in a USB-C. I wonder if you can see it, a USB-C to charge the battery inside, so that even if um, you're not connected to power, then you always have you're always able to run it. But this used to run this one. So this is the Pi Maker Pico Mini Maker or something. Yeah, it's a Pi Pico Maker Mini. So it has like the groove ports. It has like a speaker, etc., like a charging port, buttons. So it makes prototyping easier. But when I was doing the PID controller, I needed to start tuning the P terms and the I terms, and I needed to be able to log things so that I can graph them, and then I can like play around with like the settings and I find out like what's the effect, right? And so I decided to use the full baseboard and probably change this because the baseboard is just going to be there. It's not very, I mean, it looks cool, I guess, with an ice cream container, but it's not very stable inside, and it can rattle around. So I'm thinking of using the box where everything came with, and then I'm using the full version as well of the Pi. What is this called? Maker Pi Pico base,
Yeah.
and I'm using the the a separate Pi Pico W here, because the other one it's already soldered into the baseboard. This one you can remove it and you can plug it in. And it's the same thing. You have your groove ports, etc. And then this is I just moved the wires from this container from this microcontroller into here. And what I'm going to do next is I'll put this here, and then I'll make some holes and then add in some what do you call this? Some sticky tape, like double-sided tape, so that I can so it's a bit more stable. And then something like this, so it's you have it closed, and it you have your thermometer onto the to the hot pot, and then this is like I'll probably put like the what they call this, the OLED
Display.
here, switch,
Yeah.
the charging port, and then the rotary encoder somewhere on the top. So it's a good thing that the boxes that they come with for when they deliver stuff to you is also a good project board. It's just
Yeah.
sturdy enough, and it's paper, so you can easily like create holes. You don't need a drill,
Correct.
so you just need a cutter. But of course, not probably not for children, because children need adult supervision when you're dealing with sharp tools. But yeah,
And
but it's not.
also,
It's good. Yeah.
and also the thing is how safe it is because you're dealing with heat and you had a paper box.
What do you mean heat? I'm not heating anything with this.
Right.
Which is why that's why you have a Wi-Fi relay, right?
Right.
That's the
Right. Yeah,
point.
yeah,
You
yeah.
don't want
I
to.
remember you told me. Right.
Yeah, you don't want to deal with high voltage. So
Correct.
let like commercial products like the Sonoff,
Mhm.
let it handle the turning on or off of the hot pot, and then this thermometer is long enough to put it there, and then you put it like around the like somewhere uh, like farther away from the hot pot, and then you just leave it there. That's why I wanted the logging, because I didn't want to be there for like 4 hours while while the meat is cooking sous vide. I want to just
Uh,
uh, trial it out with something like probably some meat as well as some steak, not expecting it to be working perfectly. And I just want to know the behavior of the PID controller, like how far, what's the error or the average error, and how is it recovering, and tune the parameters a bit more before I can like say, okay, this is the final tuning for this particular hot pot.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, so when do you think you can show the whole thing?
Probably this week. Well, this weekend I'm going to be cooking something, and then what I still need to do is to reorganize the code, because it's still very much blocking. So I want
Right.
to start making like tasks and observers, and then like doing things in more real time. Because right now,
Yeah.
like for example, when you do this and you turn the rotary, because this is like watching the rotary and then output into display, it slows down. You'll see that it slows down the like everything, because it's watching and it's trying to do something on the same execution thread. And so I need to be able to um, like get this like something like as async IO or something like that, because when I was doing things in Esprino, if you remember the JavaScript
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
language for microcontrollers, I didn't have
Yeah.
this issue as much, because you can always because in JavaScript it's naturally asynchronous, and so
Correct.
you can always go to a different what they call this a different loop or event loop,
Correct.
uh, and and
Correct.
and watch like the rotary encoder changing, for example, and you modify things. So it's not necessarily multi-threaded; it's still shared memory, but it is evented, and so it was naturally part of the language. That's why it's easier. Whereas in Python, you need to be able to use async uh,
Correct.
So you program things differently. So that's the part that I'm getting a bit um, hung up with, because it's not the same as as you would expect.
Correct.
So you need to create the task, and you need to run the main loop, and then you need to sleep
Mhm.
somewhere to make sure that you actually hand over the process to the next one. So it's all of these things.
Correct.
It's I need to clean this up a bit, and then that will be the final thing. But it already works, because once you set the temperature, you don't really change things anymore. The only loop that's important is the temperature checking, and everything else is quite fine. Probably writing to the SD card is uh, going to add things, but I'm only checking 4 times a second, so every quarter of a
Yeah.
second. So it's not that bad.
Yeah. So the only thing that is interesting for the whole project is I didn't realize that async IO is in CircuitPython. I mean, in theory, it works
Well,
because it's
it
two core,
should.
right?
Well, yeah. So
But
the thing is, you really need a way to do async on a microcontroller, because otherwise,
yeah,
uh, you'll just block with the same process. Like, how do you check the rotary knob and the,
yeah,
and and then do something else while you're checking something, right? Like, you don't want
correct.
to block on the checking of a port, which can take some time, and then while
Yeah,
outputting something on OLED, especially if it's I squared C, for example, then you need the timings
yeah,
to be very, very strict there. So it needs to
yeah,
be
correct.
invented on a language. You can deal with a low level language, because you can do some interrupts, and then you can just like
Yes,
stop things and then do the interrupts. But on something like Python, where you don't have those things, you really need
yeah,
something like async.
correct. I mean, async exists on the operating on main Python simply because those things are because you have the OS support and all that, right? We have
Hmm.
all the support there already. It's just that only recently, okay, it's not that recent because, okay, so the reason I'm thinking that original design for MicroPython don't have that because they're on a STM microcontroller. They probably don't have that. Then they port to ESP8266, which is one core. It's only on
Hmm.
ESP32 where you got multiple core and you have thread-like capability, right? Which
Hmm.
may not be exposed to Python for the first place because then you need to port to other languages. It get weird. So CircuitPython might have that because uh, the the Pico actually have two core, right? Yeah, two core that switch around. But I just do not. What I do not know is whether the how I say it, whether those things are well supported. Because I'm going to show you something that's very recent as well. I forgot to show this. It's actually part of the news that I forgot to put. Not this one. Not this one. It's this one. La la la. No, I'm going to share the screen after I copy the right link. I'll share screen. Da da da. This one, GIL, because GIL does exist on MicroPython because it's one of the language capability, but you need some form of support to get this to work, so that
Hmm.
you don't get blocked
I don't think
because
this
it's
is should this is a priority of I don't know, microcontroller.
yeah, correct.
Yeah, it's going to be a problem with microcontrollers.
The purpose of Gil originally was to make integration with C simple.
Correct. And in this case, you're not be when you implement Python in microcontroller, you do not actually use pure module all the time.
Yeah,
That's what I'm
and
trying to say.
especially when the way we write in Python, if we I'm not sure how it can affect the code, because a lot of the code that we write, if without Q for or if you write the same way for other languages, you have undefined behavior or race condition.
Correct.
So
Correct.
it's just that Q that make it into everything as a sequential.
Yes. So either way, it's a good experiment. I don't know how well it works, but hopefully it does work and all that. The reason is for So for my chat project, one option that I have for avatar, so to say, a display avatar is actually using a microcontroller instead of doing everything on the Raspberry Pi, or if possible, just use the Pico Wi-Fi to do it. I don't have a strong idea. If I'm going to use Pico Wi-Fi to do it, then I definitely need to separate threads around, right? Yeah, if it's very hard to do on MicroPython or CircuitPython, even though they have capability, then maybe I need to choose another language to do the same work. Know what I mean? So
Mm.
this is why some project uh, they use one of those. There's this customized JavaScript library that we built invented. It's not expressive. It's not Espresso JS, right? It's let me, I don't remember. It's uh I'm5 stack JS, uh JavaScript about, it's called la 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 JavaScript script. It's not Esprino. Okay, stack chan. This guy. Uh, it's Oh, okay. I already showed. So this one they already moved to use Moddable. Okay, they use Moddable instead of Raspberry Pi. Arduino. It's Arduino to build their stuff on M5 stack for the Avatar project. The reason is because Moddable actually is a JavaScript and all that we invented. It is actually invented so that you can actually do things behind the scene and all that. You can pass your task around. So there's a reason for that. So if this is an option for me actually. This is an option for me to build the avatar project for the voice assistant thing. So yeah lah. Oh well, let's see how it goes. I don't have a strong opinion now. I mean, the language is horrible, but I don't have strong opinion now. So, anything else you want to talk about on your thing?
No, no, that's it. Just need
Okay,
to
so
finish it and just yeah, the async parts are the problem right now. So I need to just
okay,
work on probably a weekend project for this.
yep. Let's see whether I can see my project. Okay, please don't. Okay, so this is what I have done over the weekend. Don't use this in production at all, at all. So this is using OpenAI. So this is the prompt. Show me a shell command. Show me a shell command to do tasks, and the command is like that, and it just output a string lah. Then in this case, I literally just output the output, run the output on the if the flag is on. So don't do what I do. It's dangerous. It's an interesting experiment, but don't do it. Don't do it because this is dangerous as hell. There's no safety at all. There's literally no safety at all. But it's a cool experiment though. It's surprisingly easy to do in a way that the hardest part is finding the right prompt to generate the command because it's very similar to. Let me see whether I can do chat G or session expired. Give me a while. So recently I had to change my credit card. I used my old card to actually generate. Use my old card instead of the Citibank card. The Citibank card just blocked everything that's not Malaysian. So I just switch by the old card and now I can pay for OpenAI, interestingly. So let's start with you. Show me the shell command for copying file from /home/main file.txt to /temp exe. Okay, this to /tmp and set the file as file to executable. The command is that. Oh, they will. Okay, it's not very good one. This not a very good one because we use the auto completion thing from chat that will just show you the command, so you will not write everything else. So yeah, you can do it. It's dangerous as hell, but you can do it. You can do it. I just don't think you should do it. Okay, I just don't think you should do it because you can easy. If you do things like setting up shortcut, symbolic links, right? Now you're gonna mess up so badly. Don't do it. It's an interesting experiment though, but the repository that I put here had a big red warning.
Yeah, but it's great for assistive technologies. Like
Correct.
if you can't type anymore, right? And but you can still use your voice. It may be, but it's dangerous. But you'll need to bake in some safeguards. But still,
Correct.
for it's assistive thing, you can't use your fingers. You can use your voice.
Yep. Correct. Well, it's a cool experiment either way. So, and also because the code is very short, so there's a lot of place for me to add safety lah. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So, for example, I did not try rmrf slash for once. So, but more practically, one of the grand mission I have for this is, uh, I want. Okay, so one idea is I want the assistant box thing to interface this to a chat system so that we can share it on the whiteboard thing. Okay, you need a whiteboard so chat is one way I'm thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Another way I'm thinking is probably Google Docs. I don't have a strong opinion on where this box will send whatever hard long thing like a command to, right? I don't have a strong opinion yet. But these things lead toward that. So building a voice assistant is very easy. Essentially on line 20, you just get your question, then you would get run the chain and you just get whatever output that you want to see. Very
Yeah.
easy to do. Okay. The hard part is getting this to feed to the next chain into Google or whatever to do useful stuff. So that's the hard part actually. Command line works now because OpenAI uses Stack Overflow very heavily. So as a result, coding problem is very easily done. So, but real world tasks, understanding document and all that require integration with other services. Yeah, getting close now. So, anything else you guys want to talk about?
No, not now.
Cool. Next week, I have no idea what is happening. Let's see.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yep. Maybe I can pull it. Oh crap. 14 is no 15 is Thursday. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
so maybe okay. Let's see whether I'll join the event.
Yeah, or yeah, well, let's see. Let's do this in what do you call this in the Microsoft Office. You know the women who code
They
thing,
probably
right?
kick us
You can
out.
just be there.
I'm not sure whether they allow us to stay until 11 because the event finished by 9:15. So I might come home and do it directly, or even
Yeah.
better, find somewhere quiet and
No,
do
I
some
think
interview or
I
something.
think you want to get home first
Yeah,
Mm.
correct. So you get
because the train gonna stop.
no, I'm going to grab my way straight home actually because
Oh, okay.
otherwise,
Ah, you
it's
can
still
do
not-
it on the car
yeah,
on the Grab.
correct. So, or ideally, if somebody lives nearby, can do interview and all that. Oh yeah, we figure out. Okay lah. With that said, thanks for listening. If join our community at GitHub, on Slack. I do not know where else you can find us. So find us at Engineers Mind, leave us message and all that. So yeah. So see y'all next week.
Okay, bye. See you.
And broadcast.